Hey, it's Andrew Downs. I'm proud to support Three Beards Media, and I would love to work with you. If you need merchandise for your company, organization, band, softball team, whatever, I can help. From name brand apparel to promotional items, large orders or small, online stores, and more, I can help your brand stand out. AKC Marketing is local, based in Johnston, and we are an employee-owned business, so our costs are low and our turnaround times are fast. But most importantly, we give you personal service to make sure you get exactly what you're looking for. Email me at andrew@akcmarketing.com or find me on social media and let's make some cool stuff together. Now sit back and enjoy this Three Beards Media podcast.
All right. Good evening, everyone. It's Andrew Barber back with Drew Shipley. We are here at Ohio State Week. And how are we feeling this week, Drew?
I feel appreciated, Andrew. I saw that you tagged me in a tweet today, like best co-host ever. What was going on there? Was Pat McAfee looking to give away like $1 million to like the best podcast, or what was going on here?
So every time Pat has a guest on, they shoot a shot at like a hoop or something.
Sure. From the platform clear across the way, the other side of the gym. Yeah.
And they if they hit it, then you repost. You say something nice about someone. So I picked you. Said you were the best co-host. And shouted out our podcast too. I actually won the other week. I won $500 the other week.
Shut up.
Yeah, on September 18th. I actually won for saying that Rob Donaldson. I don't know if you've heard him on KXNO yet. On the drive, 2:30. He's on at like 2:30. In my time.
Isn't he like the professional gambler?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I follow Rob for a long time. I said Rob has all the best picks for all these sports and all this stuff. And I was logging into my Venmo because I told him to send me the money on Venmo. And I noticed that there was $500 in my Venmo account. I go, what the heck is this? Oh, the Pat McAfee show sent me $500.
No way, dude. You buried the lead this whole time. That's awesome.
I know. It'd been there since September 18th. I found it 2 days ago.
Well, it's funny, right? Because like a lot of times Venmo doesn't notify you when something happens. You actually have to actively open the app to find out like some activity has happened.
Okay, well, that's how I found out this week that there was a surprise $500 in my account.
That's freaking awesome.
Yeah.
Like, was it like what did the note say? Like what?
It just said September 18th, AQ, because AQ Shipley made the shot.
Damn.
AQ
I should have tweeted that. Shipley.
I know, dude. I know. So I've got a whole list of people. I'll have a whole lot more nice things to say about you because now I've got my tweet notifications. I've got my tweet notifications on. I've replied each of the past 2 days. Now I'm thinking I'm going to win $500 every time. That's just my mindset.
I think they probably weeded you out at this point.
Yeah, maybe.
At least maybe for the year.
Who knows? I don't know how it works.
Oh man, I need to see. That's going back to work pretty much full time in the office prevents me from watching Pat now during the day. So like I don't know what's going on until after the fact. Or like I like watching things live. I have a hard time watching things in like DVR, especially like sports-based content, because usually the next show's already talking about that topic, right? So like sometimes I'll go back and look at some of the clips from, Pat's like funny shit stuff that he put, that happens on the show, like Chuck Pagano talking about like rim jobbing and his wife the other day or whatever it was. Can't remember what. You remember that? You saw that one, right?
No, I missed that.
Oh, it was all over social media like a week or two ago, man. You gotta, he got, he literally said eating, or did he say she was eating his ass or he was eating her ass or something like, and that's not what he meant. He meant like chewing their ass, like bitching. and Chuck said eating my ass.
Oh.
when talking about his wife, and they all lost their shit. It was like, that's how you stay married all these years. Oh, it's so good. I'll have to send it to you.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Wow. I'll be real honest. I just have my tweet notifications on, and I'm just looking for the tweet that says, "Oh, it's time to do the repost." Let's do the repost. I'm not watching all the clips. I did watch one of the clips though, because they had a breakdown of Tyler Linderbaum mauling someone downfield on a big run for the Ravens. So I did watch AQ Shipley break that down.
Was that the one that Derrick Henry took off for 85 yards or whatever? 83 yards?
Yeah, I think that might have been.
Still a stud after all these years. Who would have thought? Like, you thought his body would break down on him eventually.
Yeah. So, anyways, that's how I ended up giving you a shout out on Pat McAfee.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you.
That's and maybe there's someone listening to this podcast now because I shouted us out in a reply to the Pat McAfee tweet. Who knows?
Maybe.
That being said, it's game week. Feels good to be not on a bye week, to actually have a game to talk about this week.
Yeah, for sure.
Just how Iowa hasn't won in Columbus since 1991. I was 3 years old. So I've never been really alive with enough of a memory to even see Iowa win in Columbus. I don't know about you, Drew. I don't know if you intently watched that 1991 game in Columbus. I'm guessing not. But
I'm not sure I had a TV. I'm not sure I had a TV at 6 years old.
Yeah, there you go. See, you and I were not. We were doing other things last time.
Yeah.
Kind of like, living life and growing up or something like that. I don't know. Kirk is 2-9 against Ohio State. The 2 wins being the 2017 55-24 game, and then I think Drew Tate took care of business in Iowa City in 2004. I think that was sophomore year. Drew Tate, pretty good year for Drew Tate. We ended up rolling Ohio State at home in 2004. That's it. That's the Kirk Ferentz era wins against Ohio State in 11 tries, 2-9. So there's not a lot of good history here. I think you and I both kind of preseason both picked Iowa to lose here in this spot. I think everybody in the world thinks Iowa's going to lose here in this spot, but what I wanted to ask you is, if Iowa were to win, what would that look like? What would, in your mind, the recipe have to be if Iowa was going to somehow pull out a miracle?
Turnover margin, time of possession. I mean, I guess that's the two things, right? Because Ohio State can score at will, pretty much. I mean, this is really the true test of Tim Lester's offensive play calling, right? Like we're actually playing a real big boy team. Like no offense to Iowa State here, but everybody's kind of giving him praise over the over the last 5 weeks of, man, we're averaging 30.1 points per game and all this yardage stuff and this, that, the other. The fact still remains we only scored 19 points at home against Iowa State, and we still haven't done it against a top 10 team, especially on the road. So, like, it's going to be a true measure of where Tim Lester's offense is in the grand scheme of things. So, keeping the ball, time of possession, got to limit the turnovers as well because those those snowball really, really fast into Ohio State points. Because typically those turnovers are made in their own red zone, and 1 or 2 plays later, next thing you know, it's 24-0, in the second quarter. So taking care of the ball, winning the turnover battle, time of possession, like Kirk Ferentz's brand of ball, except actually executing, like against the top 5 team. So.
Yeah,
that's what it looks like to me, I think. Because there's so many freaking playmakers on offense for Ohio State. Travion Henderson's not even their leading rusher. Quinshawn Judkins is. Will Howard, like, I don't know. I don't think he's all that great. But neither is K McNamara. I think our evolution in red zone offense might come into play. Maybe more so 3rd and shorts anywhere on the field. Something like that to keep them honest, keep them on their feet, generate first downs when you got to have them instead of having K McNamara drop, a 5-step drop on 3rd and 2 for no fucking reason. Let's avoid that. Nobody in their right mind is going to pick Iowa to win this game, right? It's more of a by how much question, right? Is it going to be much like last year? What was the stat? 92-0? Was that the stat from last year?
Yeah, against ranked teams.
So we improve on that, which I certainly hope we would. In the evolution of Tim Lester offense, I think we will score, which is a low bar.
Right.
But man, like.
Offensive points.
I feel better about this team than the 2009 team where we lost Ricky Stanzi the week before against Northwestern in the end zone, and we rolled Vandenberg out there.
Yeah, and we could have won that game. We had
winnable game, 1 possession game into the fourth quarter. I feel better about this team than I did that game for sure. I think Iowa was a 31-point dog in that game.
Holy cow.
Speaking of lines, we'll address that. It's down to 18, Andrew. It opened up at 22.5.
It's down to 18?
I looked at DraftKings before the podcast. It's down to 18.
Is that it? So Will Howard did have a rib injury last week. Is that a signal that Will Howard's rib injury is more serious than we know?
That's a big point swing. So there's something there. I don't know much about their injury report, honestly.
I thought I heard Will Howard's good to go. So if that swings, I think that kind of that changes things a little bit.
4.5 points is like a $5 million bet, or some information came down. One of the two. Like you got to wager that much money to swing a line that many points, right? So it's either that or some information has come out that I'm not privy to. Maybe Eichel has something. I don't know. Have you checked Hawkeye Insider lately?
I have not checked Hawkeye Insider lately, but I agree with your recipe for a possible Iowa win if there was going to be any sort of a miracle. I think what you're talking about is, and Kirk has said this word a lot, but it's true complementary football. Right? Like actual complementary football, like what we've talked about before. Your defense does their job, which again, I have some confidence there in the defense holding up their end for at least a little bit. But if the offense does nothing, then the defense is going to wear down like we've seen before. And like the 2022 game, we couldn't stop turning the ball over. We just could not stop turning the ball over.
And my God, it seemed like they scored on like the next play or like 2 plays after that every time too. Like it was like bang bang, we got the ball. 60 seconds later on the play or on the game clock, it's another 7. Like it was out of control.
Yeah, so you can't even if you don't win the turnover margin, I think you can keep this one close if you're just like even. Like if you're just even or maybe slightly win it, this game is going to be close.
I want to see how Caleb Johnson runs the ball against Ohio State. That's what I really want to see. Like, how are they going to scheme him through? Getting through the line of scrimmage, if he can. Like,
yeah, and I think you're going to see a lot of 8 and maybe even 9-man boxes. And it's just going to be dare Cade McNamara to throw. And can he do it?
The thing about those 8 and 9-man boxes, Andrew, though?
What's that?
If you break that, you're gone. There's not another level.
Right.
To the defense. And I think Caleb Johnson has the explosive ability to break 1 or 2.
Yeah, 1 or 2 tackles and be gone. Yeah.
So I mean, meet him between the tackles, man, and see what happens. Don't give up on it, but don't beat it to a drum of 11 carries for 10 yards. It's clearly not working type deal.
Mm-hmm.
Advantageous 2nd and 3 or I guess lack of better term, obvious play calling needs or 2nd and 3 you run the ball, 3rd and 7 you're passing the ball type. I don't think you have to be cute about it. I think you just have to execute.
The one area that I think Ohio State's defense has a weakness, if there is one, because they're very, very good. If there is one weakness, it's possibly their linebacker unit. And in run defense and in coverage. So to me, this has got to be, if I was going to stay in this game, it's got to be a big Luke Lachey day. It's got to be a huge Luke Lachey day in the passing game because I think he is the weapon that can expose maybe a linebacker core that is not great in coverage. If you can get Luke Lachey on a linebacker in a passing situation, advantage Iowa, I think, in that scenario.
Okay.
I don't know if they're going to be – I don't know what Ohio State's going to do. They're probably going to give some sort of help. Sorry, excuse me. But, yeah, that's maybe the one weakness of their defense. I would say this might be one of the better Ohio State rosters out there. Just thinking about all-time Ohio State teams, this is probably one of the best. Probably one of the best. This might be one of the best teams that Kirk Ferentz ever faces, too, in his career.
That's a pretty big statement.
I mean, last year's Michigan squad, probably got to give them the best because they went on to become the eventual national champions. I don't think we've played any other team that became national champions in the Kirk Ferentz era. So that's probably number one.
Probably.
But this Ohio State team has every capability of becoming the national champion this year. So.
But they're not because they're Ohio State and they like to choke. So.
Yeah, it would be a massive choke, I think, if this Ohio State team didn't win the national championship. They're my preseason pick. You're probably going to see why on Saturday. Jeremiah Smith is a stud. And and Jeremiah Smith is probably going to line up on our second corner. Harris is probably going to run with Ibuka, who's a first-round talent. So all Ohio State does is bring in a kid who's the top wide receiver ever by 247. First wide receiver ever to be the number 1 overall in his class. And you can see why with the way he's playing. Like, it's crazy. So I trusted Phil Parker heavily. But how is Iowa going to limit the big plays? Are they going to just force underneath? I think that's what Iowa tries to do, but I don't know if they can be successful doing that all the time against this Ohio State offense. They're just too good, really.
So some things that may be trending towards advantage Iowa, right? First new year of the 12-team playoff. I think maybe Ohio State could lose some sense of urgency and be complacent in a way, knowing you don't have to run the table to make it anymore. Not amped up for every single game, all 12 games, whatever. They're at home. It's mid-afternoon, so it's not under the lights, in the horseshoe. So, I mean, that's more bearable, I would say, of a scenario. I mean, not quite at 11 a.m., but better than under the lights, I think. And, Iowa knows they have to have it. So I think maybe some complacency can set in because of the new format of playoffs, knowing that, they can go 10-2 and win the Big Ten and not have to worry about it anyway. So I'm not predicting an Iowa win, but I'm just saying some scenarios and some real tangible facts that could play into Iowa keeping it closer, whatever, upset city, some things that are just top of mind, I guess, for me that kind of changed the dynamic that it used to be, that it was in years past.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're kind of spot on with that. I think the dynamic is certainly there. And we talked about the Oregon game coming for them next week. So they're maybe looking ahead to that. And that's your hope, kind of, if you're Iowa. Now, I don't know how all those things will play out, but we will see.
It could be 47-3. I don't know, but
oh gosh, I just would like to see multiple offensive touchdowns in this game. I think that would be good. I think to just get the monkey off the back and it be a competitive type of deal.
Going back to Vegas, the Iowa team total was over under 13.5.
Yeah, well, I would like to aim for 20. I think 20 points would be phenomenal for this week. I think that would say something, don't you? I think,
yeah, but I guess it depends on how the 20 comes, right? Is it
right? Sure.
I mean, is it 30? Is it 35-0 midway through the third quarter, and they're just kind of walking through knowing it's in the bag, and it's 35-20 at the end of the deal, 38-20 at the end of the deal, or is it competitive play calling through 4 quarters? You earned your 2 or 3 touchdowns over the course of 60 minutes, and you just didn't get it in garbage time where it really didn't count. So when points are scored matter, I guess, is what I'm getting at, as opposed to the total result.
That's what I'm kind of alluding to, kind of saying, yeah, I guess not just the arbitrary number. Yeah, I think that's a good point to call out. It's not just about some arbitrary number. Although scoring points against a ranked team is something that last year's team didn't do. So,
I mean, didn't we eventually score 20 points on Stanford? But after after Christian McCaffrey himself hung 55.
Yeah. It was over.
Yeah, like one of those scenarios. Yeah, okay, 20 points, whatever, man.
Yeah, that didn't matter.
No.
But if we're actually like competitive through 3 quarters or something like that, and you score 20 points, I think that is like an acceptable outcome for an Iowa fan.
I think
I
so.
don't think I don't think the Iowa fandom would walk away angry. And really what it comes down to for me is, are we playing to win? Like, does it just look like we're playing to win? Are we just kind of throwing everything out there, seeing what sticks? Because this is a kitchen sink scenario for Iowa. Like, throw everything at them, just go for it. You have nothing to lose, kind of proposition.
Question for you.
For me, yeah, go ahead.
When's the last time you've seen an Iowa football team play to win?
That's a good question.
I know mine.
Play to win. 2021 Iowa State, maybe.
I was thinking same year Maryland. On that, what was that? Was that Friday night game when they woodshedded them out here in Maryland? What 50? What was it? 55-10 or something?
Yeah, that was crazy. Yeah, it was something like that.
But honorable mention, I'm going to say back is your 2017. Was that 20? Well, not 2017. Was that 2017 Woodshed?
Yeah.
Was that Woodshed, Iowa?
Mm-hmm.
That game. That game's the game they played to win.
I would agree.
JT Barrett, is that right?
Yeah, Amani Hooker picked him off right away. I knew it was
First
over.
point of the game.
I was there. I was there. I skipped a friend's wedding to go to that game.
No, you better go to Columbus.
I've never been to Columbus. I don't think I'm going to make the trek this Saturday. I just don't see myself doing it.
Me neither, buddy. Me neither.
Yeah, I think right now, if you don't mind, I think right now is a good time for a little bit of a break and come back and talk a few other things.
Making great tasting bourbon requires the perfect combination of ingredients, conditions, and time. The longer it rests, the better it tastes. Revelton Distillery's new single barrel bourbon is made from 80% corn, sourced 100% from Iowa farmers. And unlike mass-produced bourbons, each barrel of Revelton's single barrel bourbon is unique, proofed on when it tastes best. As they like to say, it'll be ready when it's ready. And to ensure the highest standards of quality and flavor, owners Rob and Christy Taylor oversee the production and bottling. Every single barrel. Iowa born, Iowa aged, Iowa bottled. Try the new single barrel bourbon from Iowa's own Revelton Distillery. ReveltonDistillery.com. Whether you're buying, selling, or refinancing your home, or if it's simply time to renovate the one you're already living in, you need an experienced mortgage professional to help you analyze your financing options and to make sure the closing goes smoothly. And that's exactly what you get when you call Kyle Lehman at Wintrust Mortgage. Kyle's experience and expertise, coupled with Wintrust's rates and programs, ensures you'll get the mortgage that's right for you. You may even qualify for down payment assistance. Before you reach out to a realtor, call Kyle and get pre-qualified, empowering you to start shopping for the home of your dreams. Call Kyle at 515-473-0546. Kyle Lehman Wintrust Mortgage, 515-473-0546. In 2023, a crack Green Beret named Dan Douglas retired his military command and promptly escaped to a full-time career in real estate. Today, this man is wanted by home buyers and sellers who want to survive the process without spending a fortune. If you have a home to sell or want to buy one, maybe you can hire Dan Douglas at Green Beret Realty. You can find him at greenberetrealty.com. greenberetrealty.com.
All right, we're back. Thanks to our sponsors, as always. Love them all. Big Ten basketball media days over the past couple of days for both the women's and the men's team. You get a chance to listen to or read any of that, or watch any of that at all?
I've been so busy, Andrew. It's we're almost within 30 days of the wedding, so it's kind of been a whirlwind of finishing planning and paying and making sure everything's in hand, and if it's not, we're getting it. So honestly, I mean, on October 3rd, I did not put basketball on my plate. I do know the Iowa women have officially sold out their second consecutive season ticket.
Yeah.
Which is awesome to see post Bluter Clark era. So happy for them. I think the women are going to be good. They're going to compete for a Big Ten championship again. If they win it, we'll see. I think they have enough returning talent to compete. Now, are they going to go like 30-4? No, I don't think so.
No, probably not.
Yeah. But I think the Big Ten's more competitive conference wide. When you're adding those Pac-12 teams into the women's basketball mix. I mean, Juju Watkins, hello.
Yeah, USC is going to be up there for sure. UCLA will be good.
The Washington Huskies, Kelsey Plum came from there. They have a pretty good program. Oregon, hit and miss. Isn't that where Sabrina Nescu is from?
Yeah, Sabrina went to Oregon. Yeah.
So I mean, there's the Pac-12 bunch. I think makes a huge impact
for basketball on both sides,
the
men's and the women's.
Yeah, I'd say more so the women, but
a lot of history with UCLA men's basketball, bud. Wow, history.
Okay, UCLA, that's one, but I'm saying like every women's team is, all the women's teams are contributors.
Yeah, fair.
Years past. You got the most historic program of all time, sure. Yeah, of course. Gosh, what was the? They weren't twin brothers. The brothers that Mobley's playing at USC.
Yeah, was pretty good.
They had a little good run there. I think Elite Eight. Wasn't there like actually? Now that you say that, wasn't 3 of the Elite 8 teams like 2 years ago Pac-12 teams?
Yeah, I think it was USC, UCLA, or Oregon.
Yeah. So maybe I might stand corrected. You are the basketball guru of the podcast, but it's pretty close, man. Like either way, the Pac in general contributing to basketball in a huge way. That's going to shuffle things up in the Big Ten. So I don't know what you saw or if you've seen anything from like the new teams contributing to the Big Ten this year or or anything interesting from either Fran or Jan.
Yeah, I really liked Jan and some of the things she had to say about recruiting and on that front. And I don't know, she just kind of seems to just get it from a high level perspective. She just understands like today's athletes very well. Just hearing and listening to her speak and reading some of the quotes that she had out there from media days, it's like, oh, okay. If you think Iowa's going to fall off, I really don't feel that way because I think Jan gets it just as much as Lisa did. I don't think, and in some ways, I think she might get the whole recruiting thing. Like she was a huge part of the Addison Deal recruitment. Like Jan Jensen was the reason Addison Deal chose Iowa.
Sure.
That's a huge thing for the post Caitlin Clark era. She's going to be the reason that other young ladies are going to choose Iowa in the future. So I'm feeling good. I'm feeling confident about the post Caitlin Clark era. Ultimately, not this year. This might be wild, but I think ultimately the talent level of Iowa overall is going to raise because I love Kate Martin and Gabby Marshall and Sydney Fulter and all these other success stories that we've seen over the past 4 years. But those were not high-level recruits. They were players that developed and were molded, and they really applied themselves.
That's true. That's true. That's true.
Their abilities. So I'm really curious to see when we start recruiting now people who are a little bit more highly touted as recruits, and can we develop them in a similar light? Well, if you're starting from a more talented place, I kind of think what I'm trying to say is 2, 3, 4 years out from now, I think you may not have the one singular star that's as big as Caitlin Clark, but you might have a cohesive team that is better than some of the Clark teams. You might have a cohesive team that's deeper, that's better, where we're actually legitimately in the running for a national championship. I can see that. I can see that happening.
I couldn't imagine the shoes that Lucy Olson feels like she has to fill. Like, do you think she has that pressure on herself? Like, she's a college kid, right? She's a kid. You know, she understands the Caitlin Clark effect. She understands the greatest college basketball player of all time. That's who she's replacing. Like, she understands that, I think. But she's still also a kid. So, like, how do you mentally separate yourself from that and just play your game? You're Lucy Olson. You don't have to be Caitlin Clark, I guess.
Well, I think Jan is going to center that offense around Stolke a lot more this year.
I'd be happy about that. You know, that's my girl.
I know, and that in and of itself is going to take plenty of pressure off of Lucy Olson, I think. I think they're going to really look to Stolke and then the 6'4" freshman, Ava Hayden, who I think is in line to start at the center spot. Next to Stolke.
Is she a Quad City girl? I don't remember. Where's she from?
I can't remember where Ava's from. No, it's escaping me right now.
That's okay. Sorry to put you on the spot.
No, it's fine. It's fine. I just think that as a unit, they're going to kind of collectively, everyone's going to kind of take on that burden. I've heard Lucy Olson say, you know, I know I'm not Caitlin Clark. I'm not trying to be Caitlin Clark. I'm just here. I'm just bringing my game. Like literally what you just said. I don't think she feels that pressure. I know that the coaches aren't putting that pressure on her. So she's feeling that. It's coming from somewhere externally. It's not coming from the program itself.
What does she have available? Is it just this year? Is
this just this year? It's a 1-year thing with Lucy Olson. So, yep, we're gonna get 1 year of Lucy Olson and Stolke and
a Falter,
and then a Falter, and a lot of talented freshmen that I think you're gonna see. So that's what you're talking about. Where you're like, I think this is an NCAA tournament team by the end of the year, but I don't think this is a 30-4 run through everybody like a hot knife through butter kind of a team. And I don't expect that. Because you got a lot of freshmen who are going to play early on, some who might play more now, given the Sydney Fulter injury.
Sure. I mean, last year they didn't really go knife through butter either. I mean, they had some duds there in the Big Ten.
Sure.
I mean, against, you know,
it's more that they knew when it was winning time what they're going to do, how they're going to do it. You know, adversity comes, they knew how to respond. With a younger team, you're going to have a few more bumps in the road in that regard, just because they haven't been in those situations yet.
Sure.
And we're going to have some freshmen playing some key roles, so they're not going to be ready for some of the adversity they're going to face, like you talked about, those other programs. They're in the Big Ten, the programs that remained in the Big Ten that are good. I mean, Nebraska on the come up, Ohio State, Maryland seems to always kind of rebuild and reload a little bit too. It's not necessarily gimme games all around. Michigan's had some success historically.
Indiana.
Oh, hey, yeah, Indiana. I almost forgot the biggest rival of the last few years. So it's like, yeah, it's not exactly an easy adjustment to the Big Ten Conference for women's basketball.
Yeah.
On the men's side, I think, we got to do our season preview. I don't know when we're going to slide that in because the season starts November 4th.
Holy cow.
Yeah, we're only like about a month out from the season starting for both the men and the women. Maybe we can slide in the season preview like right before, and maybe during some of the non-conference, because it's kind of non-conference is a little bit uninspiring in college basketball sometimes.
It really is. Like you're playing Lindenwood or Northwestern State or some bullshit. Like, Alabama A&M.
I think there are some intriguing teams for like the Iowa men. They're playing Washington State, who was a tournament team. They're playing Utah State, who was a tournament team. Iowa State, you know what they're all about. So they've got 3 Utah who knocked them out in the NIT, who might be a tournament team. Like, they're playing 4 teams in the non-conference that are, I think, Iowa State, obviously tournament team, no question. Right. But like Utah State and Utah and Washington State, we'll see. But those might be NCAA tournament level teams as well. So
it's certainly better than years past. Let's say that.
That's kind of what I think is. I think this is for the men's side. I think this is a better non-conference schedule than what we've seen in years past. So, yeah. And I'm just more excited about the overall team for the men's side. I mean, I've talked about it multiple times, but I think bringing in the transfers that Fran did, bringing in the freshmen that Fran did, I'm kind of excited. I think the trajectory of the men's team is looking up too. I know that last year kind of ended on a sour note in the NIT, but getting Peyton Sanford back was huge. Getting a solid point guard who's done nothing but win at Morehead State, been in the NCAA tournament environment. Drew Thelwell was huge. Seydou Traore was, I believe, the freshman of the year in his conference. He brings some athleticism and much needed rebounding and defense and stuff. So then obviously Owen Freeman, Josh Dix, we've talked about them at length.
Brock
Harding's improvement. That's going to be probably the big key for Iowa's that point guard spot. I think Drew Thelwell is steady, but Brock Harding kind of brings that high risk, high reward element. Like when he's on and good, it's really good. When he's bad, it's really bad. It's kind of this give and take thing. So I'm hoping that he's developed in like the decision making process of his passing specifically, because if he figures out how to get you all of the assists that he can with cutting down the turnovers, he's going to be a pretty good point guard, and I feel a lot better about that point guard spot. And then like we said, we have some defensive concerns from last year, but I think Traore is going to boost that. I think Dembele is going to play a role. Freeman's going to play a role in that. Can Freeman stay out of foul trouble? Can Dix create a little bit more? I just think there's a lot of possibilities with this men's team. I think they're going to be not like last year. I think they're probably going to make the NCAA tournament with this squad. I don't know how far they can go, but I think this is an NCAA tournament squad. I think that's got to be the goal for this year's men's
so.
team.
I mean, personally, I'm going to miss Tony Perkins, man. Like, I'm going to miss his grit more than like anything, just the way he played the game. Now, shot making or, stuff like that, whatever. I think we replace him pretty well with that. But I just like his demeanor on the court. I like his swag. I just personally, I'm hurt that Tony Perkins is not on this team, but I I think it's going to be a jigsaw puzzle, I guess. I think for Fran to get the right lineup with all these, all the youngsters now, the returners, the transfers. Like you have a little piece of the pie from everywhere now. Which one fits where, when? Like that's going to be Fran's biggest hurdle, I think, in getting the most out of this squad. Like I think the talent's there, like you said. What the lineup looks like, what winning time looks like in the lineup, learning that about them in the non-con, like you said, with more competitive games with, previous tournament teams, I think it's going to pay some dividends, down in the Big Ten season. So I think I would agree with you. I mean, just not doing a preseason preview or whatever, but like I think this is probably a bubble team, or first or last four in or something. I can see them in the dance, but it's October 3rd, so
Yeah.
let's see some actual basketball being played and some chemistry and see what it looks like, because there's going to be a lot of new faces on the court.
Yeah. Peyton and Price Sanford have a podcast called the Sanford Sessions, and they had Drew Thelwell on in August. I went back and listened to that this week. Go listen to Drew Thelwell talk. I think you'll probably like him and then watch his transfer highlights as well. Again, it's highlights, so you're not seeing
you're seeing all the good stuff.
Okay, well, they do actually put his weakness, like they actually do show you his turnovers. So like it's actually not just highlights. Like it does actually show you his turnovers and all that kind of stuff. But it kind of breaks down like what he's good at, that kind of thing. But you just hear him talk and like there's a level of maturity there, and what you're talking about with the competitiveness and the grit, like yeah, you're actually describing Drew Thelwell. Like that guy actually has a lot of competitiveness and grit to him. Like,
okay. All right.
I understand what you're saying about missing Tony, but I think, and Brock Harding has a lot of that too. So I think that's perfect for your point guard spot. Like we have two pretty highly competitive guys at the point guard spot there.
I'm just kind of hoping Harding and Dix both put on about 10 pounds.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think Josh Dix is pretty well like established as a Big Ten player, like especially the second half of last season. I feel like he really I really felt like he was probably our second best player. You could probably say that's Owen Freeman though. See, it's a good problem to have because I know who our best player is. It's Sanford, but second best player could be Freeman or Dix, I think, and that those probably are your big three for this year's team. And I think if Freeman figures out the foul trouble thing, he's going to boost the defense dramatically, because when he was in and not fouling, he was a staunch rim protector.
For sure.
Which is something that we haven't had since Woodbury. And that's when Fran defenses were good. So I'm looking forward to that, because I also saw clips of Owen Freeman splashing contested threes in practice.
Oh, we're talking about practice.
I know. Don't get too worked up. But that's like the next development of his game, right? Is
for sure to be a
outside shot,
to be a triple threat for sure.
Keep defenses honest. That whole thing. Okay, I could
talk
about
the Luka Garza transformation.
Yeah, except I think Freeman has the capability to be a better two-way player. Maybe not the offensive juggernaut that Luka was in college. I don't know if anybody can come close to that at Iowa. But in terms of being a two-way player, being able to go get you 10 rebounds, block a couple shots, score 15 to 20 points, I think Owen Freeman can be that kind of a guy.
Sure.
He can be a 15-10, 2 blocks, 1.5 blocks kind of guy.
Yep.
Solid center. And that would be A huge lift. I could talk about basketball all day. I'm sure we would. We'll talk about it a little bit more as things get closer. But for right now, unless you've got anything else. Oh, hey, we would be remiss if we didn't mention the almost unanimous Rookie of the Year, Caitlin Clark.
I mean, Cheryl Swoops has to have a vote, right? Like, that's her, right? Like, that's...
We need that person to come forward. Yeah, if
it's Cheryl Swoops, I guarantee it.
Well, whoever it is should be removed from the voting immediately. There's no real basketball reason to not vote for Caitlin Clark. There's no basketball reason to do it.
Yeah.
Zero basketball reasons to not vote for her.
That's right.
So that's all I'm going to say about that.
Look out. She's right there.
For sure. Unless you have anything else, I think it's time to get out of here by making our score predictions. Go ahead.
Yep. 31-20 Ohio State. And I do think it's a competitive 4 quarters. I don't think it's like garbage time 20 points. I think it's a competitive 4-quarter, three-quarter game. What?
People are going to think we're making this stuff up, Drew.
You're going to say 31-20? Shut up.
People are going to think that we talk.
No.
I will pull up the messages between us and confirm that we only talk about when we're going to go on the air.
No way.
And maybe some other we talk shit about Nebraska.
I was going to say 31-21, so it would have been a 10-point game. I'm like, nah, that doesn't seem like an Iowa score, so I took one off.
I was going to say 30-20, but then I was like, how the heck is Ohio State going to get 30? They're going to kick 3 field goals? Nah. They're going to get 4 touchdowns and a field goal. That's how I got to 31-20.
Iowa 2 touchdowns, 2 field goals. It makes sense for Iowa.
I think it does. I think it really does.
31-20. That's the official prediction. We should put that in one of the apps if they have an exacta score, just to see if we could hit like 100,000 to 1 or something.
Oh man,
there's got to be something in there.
Yeah.
Like, usually they do for NFL. I don't know if they do that for college, but they totally do it for NFL. You can do exacta scores.
Yeah.
Throw $1 on that to win 10 grand.
Yeah, there you go.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm going Ohio State 31-20. So I think we'll be back here next week talking about, a competitive game that ultimately was lost, and that's okay. I'm all right with that. I hope we can talk about a win somehow, but
we might have a post game if we win.
We might have to have a post game if we win. So I'll prepare for that possibility, but I'm not gonna put my hopes on it. So I think we're maybe a little bit optimistic with our 31-20 predictions, but hey, that's what this podcast is all about. Being a little bit optimistic as fans. We don't have to be realistic all the time.
That's right.
So with that, we hope that you guys, thank you for listening. As always, I know that we both appreciate everybody who listens to this. Hopefully you enjoy Saturday's game or just enjoy your weekend. So with that, we'll get out of here. And as always, go Hawks.
Go Hawks.